Well, glory be and mercy me, we've done it yet again. Here we are, daily walk on the graveyard. So today's video, I am going to do a history of the CERB and the basic income in Canada. Isn't that going to be fun? Isn't that going to be lovely? So, the reason why I'm doing it is because honestly I was at a loss for what the news is of the day, because everybody's on vacation and nothing's really going on, honestly. But I noticed on Twitter, CERB is trending, so hey, what the heck? I've been following the basic income and the CERB 15 years now, back when Evelyn Forget, a Manitoba economist, uncovered documents hidden in a basement about the Manitoba Dauphin experiment, the basic income experiment in Dauphin, which was incomplete because a conservative government came in and stopped it, as conservatives do, right? You don't want to actually help people. You don't want to actually have information about how to help people. No, you want to cover all that up and make sure it doesn't happen. She found out, yeah, the basic income completely worked, total success for the period of time that it existed. The interviews that they did, people were saying, no, yeah, it wasn't a disincentive to work. It just helped everybody out. It was like a little floor to stand on, all that kind of stuff. Something that might be, I don't know, useful right now. Don't you think? So, and then for about 10 years, I was told, oh, basic income, too difficult to implement, too tough, too different. Oh, no, it will take forever. Oh, we gotta do studies and tests and peer-reviewed groups and all those kind of stuff. And then the pandemic hit. And in a week, they passed the CERB, which, fun fact about the CERB, is a basic income style program. Literally, if you extended the CERB to everyone, and not just people who fit the criteria for EI, it would be a basic income, right? It took them a week. It took them 1 week to do, so they're frauds on the face of it. The reason why they passed the CERB was not altruism. The reason why they passed the CERB is because the wealthy and powerful were terrified about what this pandemic was going to do to them, right? This is why now that the pandemic is turning into the endemic, they are doing everything they can to dismantle the CERB, right? They broke it apart into several different groups. They have broken it apart now into a subsidy program that is so specific in its means testing that literally no one can actually apply for it and get it, because it doesn't actually apply for people who are real and exist in the world. This is the goal of the Trudeau administration, to selfishly pass programs in order to benefit him exclusively and his billionaire buddies, right? And then turn around and dismantle them, which is exactly what they've done, which is exactly what they're doing. And so there's the loose history of it. If you don't want the CERB to be dismantled, or if you would like to see a basic income in this lifetime, right? Stop voting Liberal and stop voting Conservative. It isn't hard. It's not difficult, right? Stop voting Liberal, stop voting Conservative. Now, for anyone in the world who is at all skeptical about a basic income actually being effective, the more and more you think about it, the more and more you realize, a basic income would actually be a real economy. Like, if you insist on using money in your system, and you insist on not having homeless people and not having people in poverty, right? Or people who are starving, right? People who have to choose between having heat and food, that sort of thing, right? If you want to get rid of that from your society, and you insist on using money, a real great way of doing it is to just ensure that everyone always has enough money to be able to secure those things, right? Through something called a basic income. That the government creates money, because the government can create money. It's not a business, right? It's not a business. It doesn't have revenue streams, right? Like these neoliberal hacks have been saying for the last 40 years. The government creates money, puts it into the society. The people use that money as they use it. It is taxed by the government so as to balance out the money supply, to ensure that there's no inflation. And then what do? They redistribute the money and do it all over again. they redistribute the money all over again. That's what's called, in economic circles, a stable economy, right? This neoliberal grift, this religious ideology that we have been living under, that says that neoliberalism, that trickle-down economics is a real thing, that says let the free market decide, or as I like to say, chaos brings order, is a fraud. It's been a fraud the entire time. That it has been exclusively a wealth extraction project, that the people who have been espousing it and defending it are frauds on the face of it. They were paid by a billionaire class in order to lie to the populace, knowingly lie to the populace, in order to deceive people into allowing this project of neoliberalism to take off and extract as much wealth from the populace as possible. A basic income redresses this fraud. It says to the liars and the thieves who have been stealing money from the populace this entire time, no. We are going to create a foundation upon which people can stand, upon which our friends and our family members and our kids can actually stand upon, and they don't need to subserviate themselves to a rapacious class of sociopaths who are doing everything they can to abandon us and ensure that the comet hits Earth, right? Like, this isn't actually very difficult when you think about it. And the only holdover at this point, outside of just the rapacious sociopathic desire to dominate and control and destroy everything around you, which is what the billionaire class is interested in, but there is still another class of people who seem convinced that you should earn it. There's still this class of people who are living in this sort of deluded dream world state that says, oh, food and shelter is something that you have to earn, right? The more you think about this position, the more you recognize and realize how evil and demonic it is to think this way. You are born into a world completely randomly generated, right? Some of us get born into a world where our families already have houses and already have access to markets and things like this. There are lots of people who are not, especially after a period of time that is actively designed specifically to extract wealth from the populace. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's going to be an inevitability. There's going to be a group of people who are going to be thrown out of the system as an inevitability. And so the people who are walking around saying, yo, you want food and shelter, you gotta earn it, are literally saying, you have to sell yourself into wage slavery. That's called earning it, right? You have to find a billionaire who is actively attempting to destroy you and sell your services to them. And are they gonna pay you a wage that's a livable wage? No, they're gonna pay you a wage that doesn't even pay for the rent in the first place. So this earn it narrative should die. And eventually it will, because we know who's saying it. I have come to see very straightforwardly that providing food and shelter for the populace is not a political position. I keep asking myself, when did it become a far left radical position to believe everyone should have access to food and shelter, right? When did it become something that if you said, hey, everybody should just have food and shelter, that's a communist perspective? My perception has always been that providing food and shelter is a conservative position. I'm from Manitoba, right? Everybody, if you said, hey, do you think everybody should have access to food and shelter? Well, who's going to say no to this? Who's going to say no to this? So this is a non-political position. So now we're just having, so if you want to have a conversation about how to provide food and shelter for everyone, what is the best way to provide food and shelter for everyone, now you're talking politics, right? And I say, under these circumstances, given the populace's general unwillingness to actually get rid of these psychopaths that own the country, and actually, build a society based on community, based on general attempting to help one another, attempting to build a place that's actually worth living in. Nobody seems interested in that. Everybody just seems interested in subserviating themselves to the capitalist death cult and pretending like that's a life. So, under these circumstances, we should be able to say, at the bare minimum, hey, can we at the very least, when these billionaires walk away with hundreds of billions of dollars in profits, can we slice away like 0.1% of those profits and actually just ensure that everyone has access to food and shelter? Can we do that? Is that something that we can do? And it seems as though that if you're voting liberal and if you're voting conservative, the answer to that question is no. And so the question really does become, well, what are these people doing? What are these people doing about the spiking homelessness? What are they doing about the spiking poverty? Besides attempting to individualize and complain that, oh, the problem is them and it has nothing to do with the gigantic, massive systems that are in systemic failure. Has nothing to do with the obvious, overt fact that people are simply being abandoned. Like saying to a group of people who are about to be hit by a comet, oh, you just need to blow really hard and move the comet. Right? Like this absurdist position of just like, oh, walk up to people who are drowning in the ocean and say you just got to swim harder, right? While you drive by in your big super yacht, right? This kind of manic delusion that we have caught ourselves into. When we could very easily, it took less than a week to put the CERB in, we could very easily implement a basic income and be done with this. Would it have massive reverberations in the society? Yeah. Freeing wage slaves would do that, right? The psychopath capitalist class is going to complain and be like, oh, you've destroyed the economy, when no, we're building a new economy that excludes your psychopathic behavior. Wage slavery, the plunging of wages, the jacking up of rents and home prices is all the fault of the billionaire class. You can tell because they refuse to actually discuss the reality of it. Keep blaming it on immigrants and the like. The reality of a basic income and the reality of a CERB is that it's how you build an economy, a real economy, not one that's based on a fake line going up, your stonk line or whatever, not something that's based on the financial markets, which are essentially just parasites that have parasticized the system, not something based on fantasy or farce, but something based on very simple ideas. That every person in your society should have access to food and shelter. If you don't think that everyone in your society should have food and shelter, you're a piece of shit. You're not a politician or a political person, right? You're just a horrible piece of shit demon creature. If you think that people should have food and shelter, congratulations, welcome to the political discussion. What's your idea? My idea is, hey, people don't have money and they need money, you should give them money, right? It's a very simple Christian principle, right? What was Christ saying walking around? Give your money to the poor. It isn't hard. Let's just do it. And if you really seriously want to see it done, stop voting liberal, stop voting conservative. They've made it extremely clear that they do not give a shit about the populace. They are abandoning us. Stop doing it. This is the end of this video, guys. Like, share, subscribe. Share is the most important part, all right? YouTube throttles me. If you don't share it, they don't see it. It's very simple. I have a Patreon down below. If you don't support leftist voices, you are just ceding territory to these neoliberal fascists who are actually attempting to impoverish us and abandon us. So, hey, maybe throw $1 my way. Always remember, guys, you are a divine being, standing around in divine energy. These billionaires are paying hundreds of billions of dollars to make sure you don't realize it, because they don't like that you think you're their equal. Fuck them. Revolt, rebel, repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.